Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mike's Mini Motors. As you can see, Brandon's Ruckus is done.
Complete!
Finally. And you know, we both got busy for a little while, so we just finally our schedules worked out. We got back together. We're gonna get her started up for the first time. And if all goes well, he's gonna take her for a test drive around here. And probably won't be a very long one. It's pretty frigid out here right now. But yeah, so we'll get that, and then if all's good, we can take this down to his house. And I got more room in my garage now.
Yeah.
So let's try to get this thing started up. Okay. So Brandon's gonna hop on here and see if she starts up. It's a little cold, so it might take a minute, but might not.
Yo. Oh. It's very cold. Trying to give it a minute.
So how was it?
That was awesome. That's cold.
Woo! So first impressions, you like it?
That's awesome. That is great. Get one.
Alright, so Brandon's back from his maiden voyage. Ran good. Brakes worked really well, as you've seen in the video. One thing we noticed is the headlights and blinkers and horn and all that stuff's not working. I think it's because slightly before we started it, we checked clearances and stuff when we turned the handlebars, and these were hitting a bit, so we pulled up, and I think we actually unplugged this whole controls. So we're going to pull the battery box off real quick, check that, and should have everything running again here shortly. In case you don't know, plastic is quite a bit more brittle when it's cold. And I had forgotten that we took this little zip tie clip thing and we had it re-hooked up to the main harness here. So when I was pulling that off, it caught and cracked actually from here to here, unfortunately. So I'll have to buy Brandon another battery box front cover, but I'll go ahead and get this one plastic welded up just so that it's still usable for now, and I can show you guys how to do that. It doesn't take much time. And then we can get this put back together.
But it was indeed actually disconnected down in here. So when we pull these wires, initially when we first were getting ready to pull it out here, everything was binding up on the plastic piece on top. So we pulled these wires and we put a zip tie in them to kind of pull the wires out. We didn't give enough slack, which is okay. But the downside is that as we pulled on it, it actually disconnected our left-hand controls.
But yeah, the connector pulled apart. So we got it back together, try to give it as much slack as we can. And now we can start it up and make sure we got headlights and turn signals.
It's cool.
So you can see we got the headlights, blinkers, and horn. So it was just that one connector got unplugged, and so luckily that was an easy fix. But
now we caused another problem.
Yeah. Me being the Hulk and just smashing it. But so yeah, we'll get that plastic welded up, put them back together, and we can take this to his house.
Sweet.
All right, so here's the battery box. It's hard to tell even not looking through the camera, but the crack is like right through here. So what I do is I have a soldering gun, and I usually start off by just heating up the plastic and kind of melting it back together. Just kind of like, you know, if you're welding, or you're just going to kind of tack it in place. And then I'll check the front. Everything's pretty well lined up, if you can see without the glare. But yeah, so now that I got that, I have this little mesh that I'll cut it into some strips and then hit it with the soldering gun, and that will actually melt the plastic, and then it comes up and oozes around the mesh, which then just gives it a little bit more strength. So I'll get that cut into some strips, and then I'll show you the last part, and then we should be back to putting this thing back together.
All right, so
I got this little mesh, kind of little strips, so I'm not wasting big squares. And then I'm just gonna lay it right across the crack like that, and then hit it with the soldering iron. Might take it a second to heat back up. There you go. So we're essentially just embedding the mesh into the plastic just to make it so that this welded joint is a bit stronger. Alright, so as you see, I just kind of hit every little spot on the mesh to try to integrate it as much as possible. There. You can't really see the mesh anymore, but it's now, you know, embedded in the plastic. So we'll get the rest of this stitched up, and then we'll get this back on. Alright, so you can see there's our wound, if you will. There's 3 sections of that mesh in here, and it's all embedded now, so it should hold. And the front, you know, if you look close enough, you can see the crack, but it's not too bad. At least, you know, like I said, good enough to get us by until we get another one. So yeah, let's get this bolted back on, and Brandon's bike is done. Well, Brandon's bike is now done and down at his house. I got a little more room in my garage, which is nice, and I got my Ruckus back up on the lift. I've got a few little things I'll be doing here in the near future with it, and so you can keep an eye out for those videos. But yeah, that's going to wrap up the GY6 swap build for Brandon's Ruckus. I hope you guys enjoyed the build and learned something, or learned how to do some of this stuff. If you have any questions, you know, go ahead and leave me a comment, and I can do my best to help you out. But yeah, so if you're liking what we're doing, go ahead and like this video, leave me a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Thanks a lot, guys.